Congratulations with me, Sharon. And today I will be covering a beautiful handwriting of a very famous personality. I hope it will be a small surprise, whom I'm going to be reading. However, it's very pretty handwriting. I really fall in love with this handwriting, the way she have written, and it's a female figure and very royal, very articulative, and in the meantime, very, very, very beautiful. So we'll discover a lot about this personality, who she been, how what went in her life, and the overall cover about her life. We cannot go so deeper and bring out many facts and figures, and perhaps it can go wrong because we don't know much about the history, and this particular personality belonged to the history. So um, all I knew about her is through few videos, which has given me a little bit of gist about who she been and what her interest and everything, and about her story, the history a little bit. But that was just out of the friction. I wanted to know about her because I never heard. I heard about her. I studied about her, but it's only the historical time. We really don't know what happened. So in order to know about this personality long back, because I was so fascinated about kings and queens, so I just did a little bit of research and I got a little bit of information. However, irrespective of all that, I don't want to bring any biases into my handwriting analysis. So I'm just keeping what those informations where I've been completely out of the box, and will be going deep with the handwriting, the pen depiction about what her character been, how she been, and overall in general, what do this handwriting is trying to show me, and compel me to look into this matter, and expressing through those letters, right? So I will be depicting the letters, the way it has been written, the stroke, the harsh, the impact of the pen and the letters. Maybe that is sharp or maybe it's lighter, and what the spacings are giving me, so this is an study from gestalt graphology. The space in the letter, the way it has been the stroke has been navigated, and what does that express, each and everything what these letters are expressing me through. So I will be doing this interpretation, which is a very interesting personality again. More than the personality, it's her letters that was so very impressive. So stay tuned who that person is. Welcome, guys. So today we will be reading about Queen Victoria. And it's such a beautiful sketch of writing and marvelously written. A particular letter like P, K, B, and V, her signature. I want to show you the specimen of this particular writing, and that will be right over here. You can see it's so pretty, so beautifully sketched. Let's just go and analyze, what is this depiction all about. So I've got my laptop in here so you can see the sketch of her letter. Well, I can show you in this way. Otherwise, the reflection is too very heavier. So, yeah, let's just go in deep and understand what this letter symbolizes and how she been, and everything about her, right? So, what does it say? Mm, I could see a palace wearing. She got two idol figure. One was her father and her mother, way too opposite to each other. Or probably her mother wanted to raise her in a certain way, um, giving her a lot of what do you say, it's not punishment, but it's kind of like more restriction and force, and suppressing her from um, other elements or other areas of life. We should not get it, because she knew, her mother knew she supposed to belong to this kingdom, and that's being well trained by her. I would not say it's well trained, but it's well she been compelled by the god himself to raise this particular lady in such a way that would contribute to her personality the most. So it's her mother. On the very contrary, she's been very restrictive, very controlling, very domineering, um, always keeping an eye on her, and she don't want she should be raised or touched by other people. So it was very special treatment. The special treatment look a little bit more of not so very pleasing at times. She had a very hard time to relate the way she been compelled by her mom, being forced in a particular direction, and to be in such a way which is not very normal and does not make her heart blossom completely. However, on the other contrary, it's her father, who belonged to a royal family and who was kind of like a king, and but he got very busy in his dialogues, or probably in his own world. There is not much time given to her. However, her mother knew, after her father, or whatever happens with her father in the coming future, the throne or the crown will be going directly on her. So she being subjected to train her in a certain pattern or in a certain way, which is much more pressurized and punished and restricted, and made her feel not very special, but to take the responsibilities, and those training or those kind of impact were being so severe upon the little mind that it grown up to be the queen she is today. However, it was not very pleasant experiences, but her impact in the queen's life made her the queen, with that stability, with that strength, and with that perseverance, and that domination. So she is domineering too. It's because of her mother's force in her childhood, and the way she'd been nurtured, the way she'd been brought up in a very young age. And also I could see a role of an uncle pretty much prevailing in her life, throughout her life. One thing for sure, she was the most sensual queen ever. She got beautiful mind and sensuality to attract the opposite gender, and she was so much in the world of romance and romantic gestures, uh, and she wanted her world to look very pretty, royally great, and the entire concept evolves around romance, and the feel to become unconditionally in love, you know, and to fall in love, to breathe in love, to die in love. So it was her, because she never got the love and affection from her mother in a very young age, or in a very early age, and she'd been forced and succumbed in these restrictions and palace etiquettes and rules and regulations so much that all she wanted in her heart is unconditional love, someone who can love her unconditionally, make her feel blossom and make her feel so romantically involved in these moments of being in love, too much in love, too much in love. And she was the most sensual queen. I would say she got many affairs. Some of them are unwanted, but it was just her need to be more gratified of the feelings, the pain what she's going through. She had to you know get it done, and probably invite people or allow the people to in her life so that they can fulfill her um you know those suppressed emotions. um those suppressed emotions have beautifully blossomed into this beautiful female who got beautiful voice. Her voice is just like crystal, and people love the way she talk, and she got a very beautiful narration. One thing in her whole writing, I could see the connection with the pen. There's a greater and deeper relationship with the pen. I think maybe in her very early age, when she never got that love and affection from her mother, and she wanted to express her emotions out, uh, she could find the connection and the resemblance with her personality and the pen and the paper. So she can write down whatever she wanted to express through the pen, and it beautifully captures her emotions, and that's how she can flow in that world of expressing her feelings beautifully, and articulate the letter in such a fashion that it overly express what her hidden emotions are, and how she wanted to come out to the paper and pen and with the pen. So this is a very deeper bonding with the pen, and I think in her whole life she found this connection to be unbreakable. Like, people can show you the face or probably reject you or suppress you or make you feel in a certain way, but it's the beauty of the pen and the paper that never gonna break the relationship with her heart and her emotions deeply connected with her mind. And she fond of writing. She was fond of writing and expressing whatever she wanted, and that is beautifully captured in the next depiction of the writing, which I'm gonna be putting across. And this is a writing which says it all. It says that I, the letter I is so very prominent. The letter is written in certain fashion with that stroke and the symmetrical line, which is which is a kind of like a moving in one direction, which shows the thinking, the thought pattern so strong. It forces her to move in a certain direction with that sense, with that pride, with that honor, and the royalty is always there with her. So she was fearless. She was furious and fearless queen, and she was very very much prominent in her role, facing brilliant people, intellectual people. She had a great fond of learning literature and learning things quicker. The subject, I would say, the knowledge of a particular subject is so fascinating to her, and new things to learn, and she was a very quick learner. and she was a she was over the perfection, I could say. She was marvelous in terms of execution of administration is concerned. So she was beautifully structured and imbibed in administrative role, the role of writing down paperwork, administrational quality, and the parliamental thing. I could see parliament, or people with great books and great heads, and very highly intellectual people who are very straight to what they want to speak. She been highly competitive among them, so she don't fear what the other intellectual personality speak, or whether they what gender they are. She was highly competitive among other men in that particular area is concerned, whether it is parliament or whether it is the royal workplace, where a lot of administrative paperwork is concerned, and a lot of execution of what next to be done. And she was highly very competitive than other members are. She was furious in her words and in her projection about what she want to do or what she want to say. And she was loud too at times. And she got this glimpse of crystalline with the mind and the throat. It's like it shines, and it allows the other person to pay attention what she speak. It's like that. She ruled for a long years, and she cannot be beaten by anybody. People have contributed for her growth because they knew something about her is the perfect, and I'm like, no one can break her intellect. She was highly intellectual, and people wanted her to stay. So some of them have really put the effort to contribute in her succession, so that she ruled, so that she would stay, so that she belonged to that country. This particular writing, which I'm going to be showing the specimen here, it talks about her mind. It talks about what she see. Like if she is moving in a particular direction and there is potholes, or probably those road systems are not very proper, she look through it and she makes sure that next time when she come through the same lane or probably through the same area, it's well developed. Okay, it's what she see, and she see it's not perfect, let's just make it perfect. And she put the effort to ensure that next time when I see, it's developed already. The way she look, to what she look, maybe she'll look into the roadsides, or probably she'll look into the colonial areas, or probably she'll look into the people, or the technology in general, whatever she look. And if she look, she feel in a certain way it should be, she ensure it is changed. She wanted the bridges to be very strong, neat and clean. So there's a lot of depiction about the movements of her pathway, and a lot of depiction about bridges and roadways. And she was very keen about the roadways has to be proper, has to be clean, tidy, strong, that it would not be shaken, or it will not have any problems for other people to walk through, or maybe the next time when she walked through, it is royally perfect. She also have a very strong connection with French. Perhaps she must have learned the language French in her very early age, so she is very good with the French language. um, and that is the reason why, if you observe the language French, it is again very articulated language. It's like bonjour, or the way you say certain dialogues, the delivery of the dialogue, it's like very articulative. And so the reason why she is able to bring that articulation with her thinking and project um, certain issues and dialogues in a certain fashion, so that it also is royally engraved. I'm hoping I'm making sense. Whatever the letters and expressions I'm sensing, I'm just putting it across to the viewers. Just very fascinated with literature, it's really that good. How she can learn every subject very quickly. It's by natural. She got this element of learning new things, and that too resonating with it as if she belonged in there from a long years. So she can inculcate those learning very quickly in her personality. And the language becomes much more flawless through her personality and through her intellect, as if it belongs to her already. It's something of that sort. And she captures very well the expression, the thoughts, the thinking, and the way the grammar should be, and the way it should be put across in the right places, and the way it should be spoken, the right dialogues and dialect in the right fashion. And also literature. She's so very fascinated with literature studies. The French, the language is very, very prominent. However, when we move to this particular specimen, it says the font of Urdu, the language Urdu, which I've also learned that I also got this information in her late years. She was fond of learning Urdu, and she well learned it with one person. It again shows in the letter. It's been written. She wanted to learn Urdu because she wanted to do some work for this particular section of the society belonging to that particular language, that is Urdu language, so that she can start her work for those section of the people and society. And for that, she got one person, just one person, who, despite having a lot of complications, a lot of problems going in his area against to in his life, against to the queen and his relationship, he stood for her. He fought for her, and he made a point and determination that come what may, I will ensure that I will teach you this particular language. And his determination made her to learn Urdu, and in her last stages she was well spoken in Urdu, well written, and she also in fact written certain literature in Urdu language, or probably did some work with that language, very prominently seen. But the circumstances were not being very easier. She had to fight, she was given up, maybe because of rumors and restriction, or probably compulsion from outside people and forces that were trying to disrupt this relationship about this person and the queen. However, it was his determination that made her learn that particular language in such a way that in her last stage she have written something in Urdu and she died, or probably she did her last work with this Urdu language, or probably for this section of the people who belong to this language. And she appreciated his determination too. And it's like the queen, every queen have got a very distinctive role to play in building the monarchy. And it is the God's judgment, or probably is a God's will, that make a queen for doing certain work in the society, or probably for the royal family, or for the monarchy to sustain. So for the Queen Victoria, it is uh, the work of learning, development in the language, in the literature, in philosophy, so that she could compel certain section to do certain work, based on her learning. So people have come in her life to teach her, and many of them have contributed in her development, and none of them have denied that she is not good, and she is not subjected to all this. Nobody criticized her. People loved her to take the next level. People contribute to her growth. People have given boost and inspiration for her to lead, go and lead, please, you deserve it. It's something, that kind of a force which is blessed upon her. So she was Queen Victoria, ruled the England because of this people who have contributed her, supported her to lead. You deserve to be there, because they have seen some distinctiveness in her way of administration, the way she ruled the kingdom, the way she prominently speaks certain dialogues, and make it a point that people are heard, and that her strength forces the intellectual people to do something more, great work, because we're gonna be there for you. And a lot of importance of people's contribution to make the queen she is. And one among them was this particular person who stood for her, despite the person was going through a lot of stress, a lot of difficulties. I could see the bars and boundaries and restrictions, and even rumors, affair, unwanted rumors, and she had nothing to say, because her heart was very clear what she wanted. If she was a person, if she think she loves someone, she will just go and say that I love you. If she want to do something, she will not dare to fear from anybody. She just go and do it. She was a very daring queen, very very daring queen. She don't even fear from anyone, anything. But it's her loss at that point in time which was making her to suck that sorrow deep within her, and let the decision to be with the time, to let her learn to do some work, or let just leave it. Okay. And it was well captured by this person who determined, no matter what goes against me, no matter what happens between the queen and me, I'll ensure she learn it. And he made it a point, with that kind of perseverance, with that kind of restrictions. So the connection of her mother, from the very early age of imposing a restriction upon the little girl, have moved in the a teenage and adult years of certain force and certain people who also came to compel her to learn. So maybe the mother's restriction, or mother's compulsion, or compulsive, or domineering character, played throughout her life, so that the people who entered were also equally contributing like her mother, but with the positive point for her to learn as a girl, learn as a woman, learn as a lady, or learn as a queen, to learn and deliver, so there was a kind of like a little bit contribution of her mother's personality, which followed in her whole life, with different people participating equally like her mother in her growth and development. I said it all. However, I could see a lot of sorrow in her writing. A person who always wanted love, nothing more than love, always wanted to be in this beautiful lovely emotional world, of being feeling importance, by someone who can love her unconditionally. And she wanted to just be loved. Though she got children, she was raising the children, but it's like kind of like they're born and they have been raised. There's not much, fond of children in her personality. She just wanted one romantic partner and just feel that importance. And there was one person, who made her fascinated every time when she looked into him and, his eyes. She get fascinated by his movements, the way he listens to her, the way he understands her, and she always wanted to be in that romance, full of, moments with him. I'm so sorry. Maybe true. Well, she been forced to take care of the kids. She had no connection with the kids and the children. But her connection was deeper with, that romantic person, whom she fell in love, and unconditional love and beautiful love. A love which, I could see full of understanding, equal contribution, protecting her, making her feel beloved, and making her feel blossomed. Though the person had a different intention to be taking the part in her life, but the relationship was so much with communication, understanding, listening to her, observing her, and thinking good for her. Though he won in his determination, but she fell in love with him, and blindly fell in love with him. It made her sorrow to some extent because she been compelled in different role and different direction. But God knew what he was intending and what she was looking, and that's how she is back into the throne as a queen. Overall, I could say she was a very sorrowful queen who held it in her heart, the beauty, romance, art, philosophy, strength, domination, conquering. But deep down, She was a very sorrowful person. Hardly anybody knew about her. Till the end, she was determined to do the duty and never to be shaken away from her duty and responsibility of development to the society. Her contribution to the society was marvelous. She was very deterministic that she wanted to learn something, learn a language, learn the literature, learn a certain subject with someone in order to develop the society. And people supported her vision. She got this temperamental issues as well. In a way, she was very realistic and she believed that beauty is everything. Whatever she do or whomsoever she allowed to do certain work and jobs, she ensured it looked beautiful, it looked excellent, and it looked really royal, and perfectionist. She was very perfectionist. um, she was short-tempered as well. People get scared from her temperamental issues, because her body language, her body was so very healthy, very stronger. So if she thrown out her temper, people get scared, So she loses temper very quickly. A little bit of, not a little bit, like a lot of temperament and anxiety. That's what I'm sensing through. She used to talk a lot of things, personal things, with her uncle. And she felt that's the only relationship who can understand her. She always wondered why she got this kind of a childhood, why she been raised in such a way. She always felt that pain in her heart. And she used to speak to her uncle, or a person like an uncle, who made the queen the queen. It's by he knew the solution for her sorrow, and slowly he contributed to her growth, compelled her to move in a certain direction, to a certain place, and prospering there. And that was a force driven by him in her life, that she moved out from the sorrow successfully. And she never turned back. Never turned back. She left a legacy. She lived behind a legacy for centuries that no one could shake it. It's because of her work. It's because of her life in general. It's because she'd been made for some particular role and being made by the heaven, or by the Lord, by the God himself, that she lived in the history. Hardly anyone could unlock her emotions in her heart. She got a very tender heart. She can love crazily, fall in love blindly, but meantime, the next morning, she can rule the kingdom fearlessly. That's who she was, Queen Victoria. She never feared from anyone. Some decisions were being not very driven, not very good. As I said, she'd been trained, or she'd been observant. She was a very clear observant. People, place, small little things. She was a very sharp observant, and she can turn even the story to the royal element, into the royalty, into the richness, with her mind, with her strength, with her power. She was exceptionally brilliant queen. Her brilliancy ruled the dynasty. People, some people loved her, and some gone against her. I would say people misunderstood her. People presumed her in some way which she was not. It was the life contributed her to seek for something which she never got it. Maybe emotions, maybe love, maybe affection. She never got it, that affection. And that's the life. But people considered her in a very different manner. And that's kind of a crack of the glass. It was like a crack. It stayed as a pinch of pain in her heart always, but it never shaken her. Rather, it contributed even further for her kingdom. Those little pain and embarrassment and the gestures of outside people influenced her to do even greater work. Beautifully articulated. And she's been forced to move in a different direction. She stayed for a long years. She gone through a lot of miseries, loss, life force, color black. It says sorrow, but it's like there was this little girl always hidden in her heart, in her soul, who be not heard, never been heard or given importance, even till the last stage of her life. Though she grown older, wiser, being like a queen or being a mother, but that little girl always been there, hidden somewhere in her. And that girl was very sorrowful. Her pain has been hidden and expressed through these letters, debonding with the pen. The pen can capture her pain, and it allows her to express what she wants to. She did some great remarkable work and job, perhaps developed places, monuments, given a lot of contribution to the society that remained as history even today, and nothing have shaken it. No one could replace her. In the coming years, people will know her for who she be, Queen Victoria, just like the name. People will know her for her artwork, for her royalty, for the golden heart and the mind which can capture the minute details and make it heavenly beautiful. That was the depiction of Queen Victoria. I will come next with another personality, similar queen, whom we lost recent past and recently, one of my favorite queens. So I don't know, this particular reading and her life, it somewhere resonates with me. I never got love from my mom. Equally, I never been hurt by my mother, being affectionated by her. So it's like a child in me always there, and I don't know. It's a lot of personality, a lot of depiction is saying as if I lived in that particular role, or probably I've been in there somewhere. Well, it's not easy to be queen. So until the next insights with me, with the next interpretation on another queen coming soon to you. Until then, this is me Sharon saying you. Ciao.